Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this so much.
Thank you for having me.
My dog in the background agrees. I
Mhm.
I do think I've actually seen everything you've done, which is interesting when you peruse the IMDb and you're like, oh, like you were in the because I think the first thing I noticed you in was the F Word, which
Oh,
became
cool.
um what was it? What If, right? That's what
Are you
they
Canadian?
No,
Oh,
I'm a fan.
oh, cool. No,
uh,
but no, I'm not like, and that's the only people who've seen it, but it was known as the F word when we started making it. And
yeah,
I
because
think in
that's
Canada.
because that I actually I really like Zoe Kazan a lot. So when
Yeah, she's
things
great.
pop up, it was like the F Word. That sounds like a movie I want to see. And then when you realize, oh no, it's the very anonymously titled What If, still a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I think it's a great movie. It's a really fun rom-com. Rom-coms are fun.
it
Um,
actually they I remember that screening, they gave us Fool's Gold. They gave us a sandwich when you walked in.
wow.
And
I still think I haven't had it, but
same.
want it.
I had it and was like, well, we can't eat in the theater, so in 2 hours I worry about it. Then an hour later on the
Yeah.
subway, then went, I wonder how long this was packaged first. Maybe I
Yeah.
take a picture of it.
It looks really good in the movie. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I've not made one for myself.
Well,
Maybe
because you
that's something
don't
on the
want heart
horizon.
disease.
No, I do want a heart disease.
Oh, well, by
Yeah.
all means, then.
Everything else in my life would indicate that I do in fact want heart disease. That's why I'm surprised I haven't had fool's gold.
That's true. The amount of which I consume bacon is unhealthy, but it happens. But that was the same year, right, as Breathe In, which is also one of the first things I saw you in.
Did
Or
they come out the same
maybe
year? Might have.
it just
Breathe
came
In,
out of
I did. Breathe In was my very first movie, and then it was like, but it took a year before
yeah,
it went to Sundance. So Sundance, I've never said that before.
the fanciest way
Um,
possible.
yeah, the festival. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it all sort of happened in that early chunk.
Yeah.
Breathe
I
In,
also
smashed.
I also saw that one at Sundance. That also might confuse me. I might have seen it at Sundance, then it
Yeah,
came out after the other one. But for all
yeah.
point being, very quickly I was like, "Ooh, who is this person?" Who was just like, there's a lot of personality on the screen. So whenever
Oh, thank you.
something pops up, I'm always curious. And it's even a lot of times I wish there was another role or a bigger role, or even just something like The Martian, where it's like, this is a very small role, but suddenly I care about this character and I like the book and remember that character is like sort of on the periphery, but there's something about like even just your line deliveries where I want to see more. So I'm always eager when there's a bigger role, and this being a bigger role with Station 11 is very cool to me.
Oh, cool. Well, what a wonderful compliment. I'm really enjoying your praise.
I try.
Yeah.
I mean, because it happens, I think, more rarely than it should. There's Izzy Gets the Fuck Across Town, which you're fantastic in, but
Mhm.
I feel like I mean, you would know better than I. Like, are there not scripts for leading roles in the same way, or are they just not on the quality? Like, when you decide to do something, how do you pick something? Because I'm sure there are things, but how do you know it's right?
Oh my God, I don't know. That I don't know. Although I think I've figured out what I figured it out more than I used to have it
Mm,
figured out. Um, I generally it's just been like, what have I not done just before? So
yeah,
doing like Terminator and then doing Happiest Season, and then Station 11 felt like kind of close to Terminator, but then it wasn't at all close to
yeah,
Terminator. And finding things that don't feel repetitive and feel like they're enough to engage you, not just for the like 3 months to 6 months of shooting, but then talking about it for a year and a half afterwards.
yeah,
Like, it's, you want it to really kind of like light your butt on fire. So I feel like that's what I always try and do. But then there's times where you're just like, oh, I want to work,
yeah,
because it's good to work and it's good for your mind
yeah.
to be useful and active. And that has led to me choosing some things I'm not that proud of. But generally, I just took a year off
Mhm.
after Station 11, not even on purpose, just couldn't get a job. No, I just didn't like anything. And I think it was so hard shooting Station 11,
Yeah,
kind of emotionally and just the circumstances, that I was like, if you're going to work that hard on something, you have to love it as much as this.
yeah.
And then I just didn't. And I took a long time. And now I have two things that I'm going to go shoot at the end of the summer. and it was so worth the wait, and it's
Awesome.
so exciting to have like, I don't know, like resisted the urge to do things that were almost right. And I think that just comes with age, I guess, like
Maybe.
working less often, but on things that you really, really care about that don't follow maybe the model that you thought you were supposed to follow when you were younger.
Totally. I mean, I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with like, oh, you're paying me how much? Yeah, I'll do it. Like, great. We all should be so lucky as to do that. But I think it's, you know, there's different ways to go about it. And I think as long as you don't see the person acting like that's the case, you know, because you'll see that sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just very clear that you don't really want to be there. And like, you know, even though, you know, there are obviously bad sets for different reasons, but even the worst movie is still a bunch of people trying to make something entertaining. You know, there's still.
Oh my God. I mean, Terminator is like a movie that I think looks like people do it for that very reason of like for the money. We tried so hard on that movie. We all gave so many shits. We like, I don't know, we're so engaged. It was the least like phoned in thing you could do. And I think finding the right sort of team of people to work with where all your interests are aligned. Because in my experience, when I've not done something like for the money, because I don't know if I've never done something for the money, but there have been times when it's like, no, that's interesting.
I like buying things. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I like love dinner. But when like that's been a factor in it, if I hate the thing I'm in, I'm never like another dollar in the bank. Like
Totally.
it's just, and every job has bad parts to it, of course. I'm not at all complaining about acting, but I don't know, it's a very cold comfort. Like you just really need, it's so exposing, and like you just really need to care about what you're making, no matter if you're making it for $100 a day or $1 million a day.
Oh yeah, because and you've done both. I mean, yeah,
No,
like yeah,
I've done
thinking,
$100 a day.
oh yeah, something like Always Shine. I'm sure it was just like, okay, we're gonna sit on an apple cart because that's what we have, or like,
Yeah.
you know, everyone who here is working for the money, please leave. We have none. But
Yeah.
You know, Terminator or Blade Runner or some of these bigger movies, like, yeah, if everybody was just like, well, the check cleared, we're here, like you would tell, and you'd be like, well, this is such a giant waste of time then. And
I know.
it's something
And
that it never
my
feels that way.
attitude is always like, oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just like that. It never feels that way, and that your performances never feel that way. I think it's just a credit to
Thank
what
you.
you
That's
do.
so nice.
Totally.
Yeah. I always think like, I don't care. So obviously I want things to be good
Yeah.
because that's nice. And it does feel like a bummer to have a bunch of things in a row that people don't like when that happens. But also like your life is spent making the thing. It's not spent at the like one night premiere that like, or like that week where your reviews come out and you're like, ooh, do I read? Do I not read? Like that is a blip. Your life is when you are making the thing. And so choose stuff and people that you really like making things with, and let that guide you, because everything else is like you have no control over reception or the zeitgeist, or the director quits halfway through. Like you can't control those variables, but you can control that you like give a shit about what you're making and the people that you're making it with.
Oh yeah. How many things do you make with one goal in mind, or just you start to hear one thing, and then by the time it comes out, I mean, listen, you made a movie come out in the midst of a pandemic and a lockdown. Like that was you know, just a different experience. Like, okay, cool. Oh, so how does anyone see the movie? Oh, they have to see it on the computer with infinite choices. All right, that's a great.
We're doing Hulu now. That's cool.
Yeah.
I have Hulu.
You got Hulu, or Irresistible was just some
yeah.
VOD. Yeah, you had two in a row, and
yeah.
With different receptions. Though I like both.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But also that speaks to what you were saying. Like even if people don't think about Irresistible, like you got to spend time with how many interesting people? You got to work with Jon Stewart. Like I want
exactly.
Yeah.
I loved making that movie. I loved it. I felt and that's the thing is like, I mean, even I keep talking about Terminator, like remember.
No, I remember. I was there.
Yeah. But I think it's such an interesting, I don't know, litmus test for this, because Well, okay, so one, it's Terminator 6. I understand there's a lot of Terminators, but I genuinely think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And maybe not everybody does, but I'm like very proud of it and what we all made together. Um, but there were like a number of political events happening around the time of its release
Oh, yeah.
that like we had no control over. And I'm not like excusing anybody's complaints with the movie because of the sort of social environment, but it matters so much what mood like people are in culturally, whether or not they're receptive to something or not, or if it like inflames, you know, some prejudice or no prejudice, but just like, oh, I want new IP, I don't want old IP, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't control the month that your movie comes out and how people are going to feel at that moment. But I don't think it's, you know, there's stuff I think I've done that's just absolute garbage, but like not, that feels like, you just never know.
Yeah, you want to be like, well, I can show you this movie. Like, why don't you say that about that one? Because you were
Exactly.
surprisingly
Direct me
kind
to
about that
my
one.
catalog of
Yeah. I mean,
embarrassments.
I don't know. I think you're harsher than I am about some of those, but there's a definite, I think you can tell when something's working or when something isn't, or just, you can also just tell when I think people are not going to be receptive. And sometimes that's, like you said, there's so much going on in the world that's preoccupying people. They don't want this type of movie, or they want something that leans so heavily into this, and this is more of a lark, so nobody cares. Like, you know, or just like
Yeah.
Irresistible was like, well, you kind of have to watch until the last 2 minutes of the movie, and we're not going to tell you what the last couple minutes of the movie are. So if you think it's
Yeah.
just this like folksy movie that everyone's just in because it seems like it's fun to be in the middle of nowhere, you're not going to watch it, and then you're not going to understand why anyone made it, and then it's going to get, when you're going to shrug it off, and that's going to be the case. Or like, you know, Tully's amazing, but you know, it gets awards buzz, and then if it comes out, you know, too early for that, or because it's Tribeca and it doesn't sustain, suddenly people are like, well, Jason has another movie coming out, let's look at that one. Like, there's so many other factors that lead people to go, let's concentrate on.
But that's like, I mean, whenever I feel bad or like I wish something got reception or something I love people hate, although generally I just hate everything, so it's totally easy and clean that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, there are people that hate Meryl Streep or Laura Dern or Charlotte Rampling or Jessica Lange, like, insane. But like, if those people can have detractors, like, everybody can hate stuff, and it's totally fine, and it doesn't change my relationship to the thing because it wasn't for you.
Like like, you know, Tom Hanks is the most most beloved man on the planet. He's divorced. Like, somebody was married to him and went, no, it's just, can't stand to be in the same room with you anymore. No matter what, things are the people's tastes. I mean, but that's how it's kind of interesting when you see what somebody opts to make, because so many people have to decide, this is to my taste. So many people with money have to think people will think that's to their taste. So like, anything ever getting made, and Station 11's a good example of that. Just like how enough people decide, I'm willing to take a chance on this and give it the attention that it deserves, because there's so many other ways you can make it, either on the cheap or make it like, just make a movie, and then suddenly it's, you know, I'm always a fan of a movie, but like, you know, there are times where a longer form makes sense, and especially when you have source material, and it has the kind of thing where I feel like you guys could go on almost as long as you want, given how we are in a world now where it seems like, oh, it's going to go on and be terrible forever. All right, we could do that.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's just
it's interesting. I think we were all surprised. I mean, first, the sort of creative support that was given to the show, because it was never a fixed object. It was always like even to me, and I was attached to it for 2 years before I shot it. And like in deep conversation with Patrick and Hero and the other directors about the show for so long, and I still couldn't I could never see the whole thing. I couldn't find the edges of it. And so, but I was getting paid to do it. I didn't put any money into it. And imagine that sort of faith in creators' vision to like put, you know, tons and tons and tons of money into something that you also can't see like the whole shape of. It's wonderful. And then for an audience, I mean, we came out, yeah, right in December, right as Omicron was coming back or announcing its arrival. And it's a big leap of faith to when there's so much content that's like really pleasurable and kind and funny and easy to like take a chance on a show that on the surface doesn't feel like it'll be any of those things. It is, but it's a tough sell.
Well, I think there's so many different ways that people embrace bad stuff. I mean, when we all first were like, okay, we're never going to touch people or leave our homes again. Fantastic. That's our life now. Great. You know, a lot of people grabbed like whatever was the most removed from that possible. But I mean, I was one of the people who did this particular thing. And I know other people did because it was surprisingly popular for a minute. A lot of people watch Contagion. Of just like, oh, what's the...
I did too, but don't you think that's more about like that period of time was so interesting because I don't like we haven't lived through a scientific discovery like as a global population before where there aren't answers and nobody can give us answers and we're seeking answers. And I think, I don't know, it felt maybe like catharsis or exposure therapy, but for me it was like we're all looking for a map and something that ends that like fine, you see the terribleness of it, but we see that it's like a beginning, a middle, and then an end. And what was so scary for so long in the pandemic is there was nobody writing it, so we just couldn't see when the end would be. I
teach once in a while because this pays so well, and and I remember we like right before lockdown they were showing, a school was showing it to the students, and I remember having to like lesson to be like, well, this is where we are in the movie right now, and I'm like, wow, what a terrible thing to tell these people because it's getting worse in the movie. It's like, all right, but...
okay, she's just cheersed in Macau or whatever. I know like... I said that country wrong. God.
But no, it is wild how, you know, you either lean in or you're like, okay, Ted Lasso and Happiest Season, and that's all I'm gonna watch for the next year because I don't want to think about anything. But that's
all seasons of Melrose Place because it's before this time. Yes.
You're just like, what do I have a box set of? Great, this is what I'm diving into. But that's the nature of entertainment, and I think the fact, I mean, even just the movies and other shows we've mentioned of yours, like really do run the gamut of like, I think if you have a career that has any sustainability and you have good taste in material, you end up making everything just because there's a good version of everything.
It's cool. It's like I think it's the only way to stay sort of interested. When I hear about like some of the very bad behavior actors, this isn't like a unified theory, but often they're people that make the same movie over and over and over and over and over again because that's their brand and that's where they make money and where their fan base is. But I imagine it breeds this like, I mean, that's when the money kind of means nothing because they're so rich that they've lost touch with everything. Like they're not like, oh yeah, I'm making $20 million to do this. They're like, it doesn't, it's what I deserve. I deserve that. Like acting is a rare skill that nobody possesses, and we should be paid like kings.
Which listen, I wish that bubble for you, just like I would love it for myself, but also it seems better to, you know, be a little far removed. Like it would be weird to be that, you know, rich and even just powerful to not think that there's a like someone at that level. I think there's something
nobody should be that rich.
And
like, that actors are getting paid that much is like, oh my god, the people who hire the actors are getting paid so much more money. Like it's criminal to be that rich.
It would be very weird to get onto a set, even someone like you who like is a famous person. You know, if you made a movie with Tom Cruise, you're probably like, oh shit, that's Tom Cruise, I didn't realize he's real. Like, you know, I gotta touch you to be like, okay, no wait, you're a human being. I don't feel like Tom Cruise has that. I don't think he gets on a set and sees anyone goes, oh, I didn't imagine you're real. I think it's just like,
yeah.
And it's not necessarily even like a bad thing. It's just, I think that's the mind frame of when everyone around you looks at you that way, even if you're a good person, I think you eventually start to believe it. It's just the nature of being on this level.
There's also only like 12 people like that. Like it is not, Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt. Even Brad Pitt feels like a human being.
Yeah, no, I think you have to make like I think it seems like he makes a concerted effort to be like, I don't want to be that dude, so I'm gonna try to be as
Hot forever.
yeah, well that I mean listen, lucky, but like like whatever weird like eccentricity that's a normal one to have, I can maintain because I am from like the mountains. Like I was a nobody. Like the people
Yeah,
who
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that seem to have that a little bit, as opposed to
Yeah,
like we were saying, I'm gonna make this movie 11 times. Like, you did it. You made Terminator. You're like, I got big and buff. Like I did it. Now let's
yeah,
do this
yeah,
thing where I go on dates with Kristen Stewart. Like that seems fun too.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
that seems also just like a healthier way of doing it.
Yeah, this was good for me.
Yeah.
Like, she's great. And I
Yeah.
really recommend going on dates with Kristen Stewart. What a joy.
Yeah. In the continued realm of we should be so lucky.
Mhm.
As
Yes,
we
exactly.
sort of wrap up, and like I think Station 11 is such an interesting like you can go anywhere from here point because
Yeah.
it's a show, but it's also big and it's timely, but it also could really have come out anywhere, and it's well liked, but also I feel like people are discovering it. It hits a lot of different
Mhm.
things. Like, and you were saying you took some time off just by the nature of it happening and then starting to work again. Do you have something in mind for like, okay, I haven't done this yet, and like when I see it, I'll know, and that's the thing
Yeah.
I want to do.
The next two things I'm doing, I've never done and I'm really excited about.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
awesome, that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, because that's always the interesting thing to hear is like, what has someone not done? Because the people sending scripts or the people sending your people scripts don't know that all the time. It's like it's so much based on what you've already done, and it's kind of
Yeah.
counterintuitive because you're like, this movie's great. I made it already, or I made two of these, or I made three of these. Like,
I know. And I'm like, I get it. Like, it's
yeah,
also not everything, but some things are really intuitive and easy where like it would be fun to make that movie again. That was fun. It was like I enjoyed it. The character felt really like easy, and I don't say like never say never because I do
yeah,
think making Happiest Season was so unbelievably fun that I was like, oh, like yeah, I would love to laugh this much every day at work rather
sure.
than like yeah, like wake up at 3 a.m. to work out and then cry and like I don't
Not
know.
eat for a year
Yeah.
or whatever
uh
diet it was. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I forget completely what I was saying. I was
Oh no,
just got
just like
self-conscious. I was like, you just brought up Terminator again. Like, let it go.
listen. I'm gonna end up watching Terminator at some point this week now, just because.
I'd appreciate it.
Oh yeah, but no, I think it's a good spot to wrap up and just to be like I'm so thrilled when I see you and stuff. Whether it's a smaller movie where you have a bigger role or a bigger movie where you have a small role, and
Mm,
I wish more of the bigger movie bigger roles, or maybe smaller movie smaller role, whatever you want. It's your
yeah,
life.
thank you.
But
Yeah.
no, it's always a pleasure. I think Kevin Smith described it really well once as like the marrow actor, like just like the movie's better because this person's in it, and it's not
Oh,
necessarily always the reason someone buys a ticket, but they're gonna like that movie a little bit better, they'll like that show a little bit better because that role was played by that person.
Joey, so nice. Thank you so much.
I I aim to please,
Well,
and
you did.
thank you so much for doing this. And our dogs were quiet. It was a
I
miracle.
know. Oh, well, she got taken into the bedroom.
Yeah,
Um,
he got tired and lazy and what life
there's
is.
a bird.
Yeah, no, oh no, he not yet, not yet.
No, okay.
Um, but thank you
Have
so
fun
much.
interviewing Miley.
Oh yeah, well, that will be, I'm sure, a completely normal experience.
Oh, I love her. I think she's so talented.
Awesome.
All right. So nice to meet you.
Likewise, let me